Part 1, The Summons. The transmission arrived on a Tuesday morning, bypassing every encryption protocol and security measure Earth had established. It appeared simultaneously on every digital screen across the planet, phones, computers, billboards, and televisions, a formal document with elegant script and an elaborate seal. To the inhabitants of Sol 3, designation Earth, you have been found guilty by the Intergalactic Tribunal of Judicial Affairs. Representatives are required to present themselves for sentencing within one standard galactic cycle. Admiral Patel of the United Earth Defense Force stared at the message on the war room's main screen, her normally composed face showing rare concern. "Is this some kind of elaborate hoax?" she asked, turning to Director Okafor of Global Intelligence. "Negative," Okafor replied, his deep voice grave. "The signal originated beyond our solar system. Quantum analysis confirms it didn't pass through any known transmission medium. This is legitimate first contact, and apparently, we're already criminals." Ambassador Lena Rossi, Earth's top diplomat, studied the transmission. "This doesn't make sense. Guilty of what? We haven't even officially met any extraterrestrial civilization." "That's the most troubling part," said Professor Hernandez, xenobiologist and head of SETI. "They've been watching us long enough to judge us, but never introduced themselves. What kind of legal system condemns without introduction?" The planet erupted in a mixture of panic, disbelief, and fascination. Religious groups declared it either the end times or proof of their particular theology. Military forces worldwide went to high alert. Social media exploded with memes about humanity's space crimes. Within hours, a second transmission arrived with coordinates for the tribunal, located near what humans called the Crab Nebula, and instructions for sending a delegation. The message specified that Earth could send no more than 5 representatives and no weapons would be permitted. "They're giving us just enough time to reach them with our fastest prototype," Admiral Patel noted. The quantum fold vessel could make the journey in the time allowed. President Wu called an emergency United Nations session, where after heated debate, they selected the delegation, Admiral Patel for defense strategy, Ambassador Rossi for diplomacy, Director Okafor for intelligence assessment, Professor Hernandez for xenobiology expertise, and surprisingly, comedian and social philosopher Dr. Jackson Bennett. Bennett? A comedian? Admiral Patel had objected. President Wu smiled grimly. "If we're already judged guilty before trial, perhaps what we need most is someone who understands absurdity. Besides, humor is uniquely human, it might be our most alien quality to them." As the delegation prepared for departure, Admiral Patel confided to Ambassador Rossi, "I've prepared a contingency. If we don't return, Earth needs to be ready." "For war?" Rossi asked. "For survival," Patel answered, watching technicians load mysterious black containers onto the ship. "These judges, whoever they are, clearly don't understand who they're dealing with." The quantum fold ship, christened Humanity's Hope, launched 3 days later, carrying 5 humans toward a trial where they stood accused of crimes they didn't understand, by entities they'd never met, in a court that had already declared them guilty. Part 2, The Accusation. Humanity's Hope emerged from quantum fold near a structure that defied comprehension. It wasn't simply large, it existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, parts of it seeming to fold inward upon themselves while other sections extended into space that wasn't visibly there. "That's impossible," whispered Professor Hernandez, pressing his hands against the view screen. "Yet there it is," replied Ambassador Rossi. The Intergalactic Tribunal. As their ship approached, a shimmering pathway materialized, guiding them toward what appeared to be an entrance. Inside their vessel, gravity suddenly shifted, realigning to match the tribunal's orientation. The humans felt themselves drawn forward with a gentle but irresistible force. "They're bringing us in," Admiral Patel observed coolly, though her hand instinctively reached for a weapon that wasn't there. "Everyone remember the plan. Learn everything you can. Give away nothing we don't intend to." The ship docked without any action from the human crew. As the airlock opened, they were greeted by beings that seemed to function as bailiffs, tall, crystalline entities that refracted light in hypnotic patterns. They didn't speak but somehow conveyed that the humans should follow. The delegation was escorted through corridors that seemed to shift subtly as they walked, eventually emerging into an immense chamber filled with thousands of different species. The center featured a raised dais where 7 beings sat, the judges, presumably, though they were obscured by shifting fields of energy that made their true forms indiscernible. The representatives of Soul 3 will stand at the focus point, announced a melodious voice that seemed to bypass their ears and materialize directly in their minds. They were positioned on a small platform where the room's perfect acoustics ensured every whisper would carry to all present. Above them, holographic displays activated, showing scenes from Earth's history, wars, environmental destruction, nuclear tests, but also art, music, scientific achievements, and acts of compassion. A being stepped forward from the assembly, tall, tentacled, with iridescent skin that shifted colors as it moved. I am Prosecutor Zendril, representing the Galactic Consortium of Elder Species. These humans stand accused of possessing a destructive potential that threatens cosmic harmony. Dar. Bennett couldn't help himself. That's your accusation? Potential? Murmurs rippled through the alien audience. Silence, commanded one of the judges. This is not a proceeding where the accused may speak freely. Zendril continued, manipulating controls that changed the holographic display. Observe, in merely 10,000 years, these beings progressed from simple tools to splitting atoms. They've poisoned their world, driven countless species to extinction, and developed weapons of devastating power. Their psychological profile indicates extreme territoriality, aggression, and dangerous creativity. The prosecutor moved closer to the human delegation. Most concerning is their unpredictability. Our most sophisticated simulations cannot reliably predict human behavior. This renders them uniquely dangerous among sentient species. Director Okafor noted dozens of alien species nodding in agreement. Furthermore, continued Zendril, they possess a troubling combination of technological aptitude and emotional instability. The consortium's predictive analytics give a 97% probability that, if allowed unrestricted development, humans will cause an interstellar catastrophe within 5 centuries. A new image appeared, Earth reduced to fragments, surrounded by devastation that spread across neighboring star systems. We therefore recommend preemptive constraints on human civilization, Zendril concluded. For the greater cosmic good. Admiral Patel leaned toward Ambassador Rossi and whispered, "They fear us because they can't control us." Rossi nodded slightly. "Then let's show them just how right they are to be afraid." Part 3, The Defense. Admiral Patel stepped forward, her posture military precise. "Distinguished Tribunal, we request permission to present Earth's defense." One of the energy-shrouded judges shifted. Unusual. The guilty rarely offer defense after verdict. Yet procedural fairness demands it, Ambassador Rossi interjected smoothly. "Unless your justice system condemns without hearing." A ripple of what might have been discomfort passed through the chamber. After a moment of silence that seemed to stretch too long, the central judge spoke. "Proceed. Though it will not change the outcome." Admiral Patel nodded to Professor Hernandez, who activated a small device. A holographic display of their own materialized, showing Earth's solar system. "Esteemed members of the Tribunal," began Ambassador Rossi, "the prosecution has presented a case based entirely on potential harm, not actual transgressions against the galactic community. May I remind the court that humanity has never encountered another sentient species before today. We cannot have violated laws we did not know existed." "Ignorance does not exempt one from cosmic law," retorted Prosecutor Zendril. "The danger remains." Perhaps, Dr. Bennett stepped forward unexpectedly, but punishing someone for crimes they might commit isn't justice, it's tyranny disguised as prevention. The chamber erupted in objections, translating devices struggling to keep up with multiple alien languages simultaneously. When order returned, Director Okafor spoke. We've analyzed your legal precedents on display in the anteroom. Not once has any species been convicted based purely on predictive analytics. Professor Hernandez advanced their display. Furthermore, your simulations fail to account for our greatest strength, adaptability through diversity. Humans are not a monolith, we contain multitudes of perspectives, cultures, and approaches. This is why your predictions fail. And this unpredictability is precisely why you present a danger, countered Zendril. Dr. Bennett laughed, the sound echoing strangely in the chamber. What the good prosecutor calls dangerous unpredictability, we call innovation. Creativity. The capacity to imagine solutions that don't yet exist. Ambassador Rossi took control again. Honored judges, we don't deny humanity's flaws. We've made terrible mistakes on our evolutionary journey. But consider this, we recognize our mistakes. We learn. We improve. The display shifted to show various environmental restoration projects, peace treaties, medical advances. Most importantly, Admiral Patel added, her voice carrying authority that seemed to command attention even from alien species, we protect what we value. If accepted into the galactic community, we would defend it with the same ferocity with which we defend our home. A murmur passed through the assembly, not entirely negative this time. Professor Hernandez advanced to their final image, thousands of Earth species, ecosystems, artworks, and scientific achievements. This is what humanity protects. This is what we offer to the cosmos, not just our potential for destruction, but our capacity for preservation, creation, and wonder. Dar. Bennett stepped forward once more. You fear us because you don't understand us. That's natural. But condemning what you fear rather than seeking to understand it, isn't that the very flaw you claim to find in humanity? The central judge leaned forward, energy field fluctuating. An interesting argument. However, the verdict remains. We shall now determine appropriate restrictions for human development to ensure cosmic safety. Ambassador Rossi smiled with diplomatic precision. With respect, Your Honor, I believe you misunderstand the purpose of our defense. Oh? Asked the judge. We weren't trying to change your verdict, Admiral Patel said calmly. We were stalling for time. Part 4, the verdict. The chamber fell silent at Admiral Patel's words. Stalling, the central judge's energy field pulsed with what might have been indignation. For what purpose? Your primitive vessel contains no weapons. Not weapons, Director Okafor confirmed, checking a small device on his wrist. Information. Dr. Bennett stepped forward, his usual humor replaced by solemn intensity. While we've been entertaining you with our charming defense, our ship has been broadcasting this entire proceeding back to Earth. The crystalline bailiffs surged forward, but stopped when the judges raised their appendages. Impossible, declared Prosecutor Zendril. Your technology cannot transmit across such distances. Professor Hernandez smiled. Not our technology. Yours. We detected the quantum entanglement network your bailiffs use when they escorted us. Quite ingenious, really. We simply hitchhiked on your signal. A chaotic eruption of translator voices filled the chamber as delegates from various species began shouting, some in alarm, others in what sounded like admiration. Silence, commanded the central judge, and the room quieted instantly. What purpose does this serve? Earth remains isolated, outnumbered, and outmatched. Ambassador Rossi's diplomatic smile never wavered. Perhaps. But now 8 billion humans know about you. Know that an intergalactic community exists. Know that we were judged without trial. As you noted, humans are unpredictable, especially when threatened. One of the judges leaned toward another, their energy fields intermingling in what appeared to be urgent consultation. Admiral Patel continued where Rossi left off. Within hours of our departure, Earth activated contingency protocols. Military forces worldwide are on alert. Scientists are analyzing every second of this transmission for technological insights. And billions of creative human minds are now aware of a threat beyond our planet. Are you threatening the Tribunal? Zendril's skin flushed deep crimson. Not at all, Dr. Bennett replied. We're simply pointing out the astronomical miscalculation in your strategic approach. You should have sent diplomats, not summons. Offered friendship, not judgment. The judges conferred silently for several moments before the central figure addressed the chamber. The tribunal will recess to consider these developments. Representatives of Earth will be escorted to waiting quarters. As the crystalline bailiffs led them from the chamber, Director Okafor whispered, "Did you see how many species were watching us with interest rather than hostility? We're not as alone as they want us to believe." In their assigned quarters, a space that seemed to anticipate their biological needs with eerie accuracy, the 5 representatives gathered. Phase 1 complete, Admiral Patel confirmed. Earth received the transmission. President Wu's response should reach us within the hour. Professor Hernandez examined the walls of their chamber. These materials, the technology, there's so much we could learn if they'd collaborate rather than condemn. Ambassador Rossi nodded thoughtfully. That's our best outcome, turning this trial into a diplomatic opportunity. And if they maintain their verdict? Asked Dr. Bennett. Admiral Patel's expression hardened. Then we implement Phase 2. Before anyone could ask what Phase 2 entailed, a melodious chime announced the tribunal was reconvening. The bailiffs returned to escort them back to the chamber, where the atmosphere had noticeably shifted. The central judge addressed them directly. Representatives of Earth. The tribunal has reached its final verdict.